Hey, everybody, welcome to this episode of Think Business. Looking forward to interviewing Aniket Nedunuri. Did I get that right? Yeah.
Nedunuri.
um, Think Community, we are doing a series with the University of Michigan Power Hour Entrepreneurial Group. It's a club at University of Michigan. And Aniket, it's great to connect with you. I've been talking to a lot of your community, and wow, everybody is doing some incredible things. You're the founder of Soulmynt, which is a blockchain-powered digital credential and verification platform. So for those listening who have no clue what that is, let's first educate people a little bit about what that is.
Yeah, for sure. So right now there's a really big problem when it comes to verifying information. And the cool thing about the blockchain is it's basically a public ledger of information. And so what you could do with the blockchain is you can essentially, see who's sending you like something, like any type of transaction you can kind of see on the blockchain. So it's very obvious who's sending you what and like what you've received, as an individual. And so there's this new technology coming up in the blockchain space called soulbound tokens. And basically what they are, they're kind of like NFTs, but there's like a really bad stigma around NFTs just because, there's been a lot of scams and things like that. But the thing about soulbound tokens is that they're non-transferable tokens. So it's kind of like, how are you going to build your Web3 identity? And so these tokens basically represent your affiliations, your, what you've done in the past and whatnot. And so the whole idea behind Soulmynt is kind of how can people start to establish their Web3 identity, and how can, companies come in and like verify that certain information is true. And to me, I believe that, like this is the solution to that.
Yeah. So let's talk about Web3 identity, right? So I think a lot of times, people are confused when we're talking about kind of, what all of this means, right? So I just want to kind of bring the Think community up to speed. Think community, the Web 1 was kind of that 1991 to 2004. And it was kind of that you create it, and then, you create it, and then the internet owns it. And then Web 2 is that 2004 through kind of 2021 space. It's kind of like that whole we create, they still own. And then Web 3, which really kind of, I would say, had its start in 2022, is kind of that we create and we own. And where, Web 1 was more about kind of, desktop and something physical. Web 3 is really in kind of this NFT experiential type world. I mean, we can go deeper into it, but I just wanted to kind of give everybody a little lay of the land of Web 1, Web 2, and now Web 3. And so for those who feel like, wait, where did the Web 3 come in? It came in at around 2022. And so let's kind of dive into that, Aniket. So Web 3, and I think the movement and the transition from Web 2 to Web 3, people are having a very challenging time with, right? The jump from 1 to 2, I think it was just kind of a natural evolution. 2 to 3, not so much. And so what do you say to those people who are having a hard time even understanding what is going on?
Yeah. To me, and this is how I explain that exact situation. To me, I feel like where we're at in Web 3 is where the internet was at when people didn't believe that the internet was, going to become this big. There's a lot of doubt around it. There's a lot of, people were scared, and, they didn't believe in the technology, which is reasonable. There's not that much, information going into it. And like, it's really new. And so to me, it's like, we're at that time now, but I feel like, we need people, to kind of just like push this like narrative, I guess, that, Web 3 is the future, because like this whole thing that you were explaining earlier, it like, I don't know, to me, it's just like that's what I feel like is gonna
Right.
be,
Right. Well, like, and so let's kind of, I think, something that is, I think, more mainstream or getting more mainstream for people is, that the 1991, 2004 Web 1 was really kind of websites, right? That was kind of the beginning pieces. I started an internet company with my brother and a buddy in 1995, and we sold it in 97. So I was really into this world. I love following it, and think community. 2022 is about the metaverse. So it's not just about having a dynamic website. It's now we're diving deep. Facebook changed its name to Meta. If you're familiar with VR and if you're familiar with Ocular, there's lots of cool things that can get you into that world. So let's talk about that a little bit as far as this going from a site to having a site to the metaverse and how to just protect yourself.
Protecting yourself in the metaverse.
And just the metaverse and just in everything in the Web3 world.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of scams and a lot of like DMs that you get that you really need to be careful of. If you have a crypto wallet, like a hot wallet, make sure you don't have too many funds in that, because if someone gets your passcode, it's over. One bad thing, well, it could be bad. The blockchain is like a public ledger, and so all your information there, you need to be careful about what you put on there, is basically what I'm trying to say. And eventually, as time goes on, I do feel like we'll have off-chain data stored and it'll be like encrypted and everything. But like right now, there's just a lot of scams, a lot of people trying to take your money. And because it's such a new space, you need to be really careful about who you're giving your information to and things like that. Just keep it to yourself. Yeah, that's the best way I would say.
Yeah.
How to be safe in this.
Yeah. And so let's and right. So you're giving so now let's talk about how you came up with this idea. Right. How did you come up with this idea? Because I think this is a space where there are a lot of players jumping into this. And so why did you decide to also jump, which I think is great? And what is your differentiator?
Yeah. Well, so the whole thing for me, I'm a college student. So like I started this whole thing because I got really annoyed when I was applying to jobs. It took me like 15 minutes to like apply to one job. And as a college student, everyone's like, oh, it's recruiting season and, go apply to like 100 jobs or whatever it is. And it takes a lot of time. It's really boring and really annoying. And so I was like, how do I optimize this to make it better? And I've always been into the blockchain. And so my first thought was like, looking into these soulbound tokens. So I read the white paper on it and I was like, this could be really interesting. And so after that, basically the whole reason why this is beneficial compared to like a normal resume is because all of this is just metadata. And so you don't need to worry about, as a student, you don't need to worry about creating a resume anymore. You don't need to worry about, getting rejected by those resume parsers, because now it's just like, it's all in JSON format. And so, for you, it's just like, you focus on yourself and let like these other, like the companies that you work for and whatnot, let them credential you and basically, verify that you've done certain things for them, essentially. And so I just thought that was a really cool idea because, like right now, companies spend a lot of time background checking. They spend a lot of time doing all this stuff, and I just want to kind of like optimize the process for both like the student as well as as well as the company. And then in terms of a differentiating factor, so basically what I want to do is, obviously this is not just going to be like, here, I'm going to credential you and then call it a day. Eventually I want to have like this really big community. And I'm really big into like doing things that you love doing, like that are outside of like things that you may be forced to do, like school, maybe. But like what I want to do is I want to basically have this community page, and basically it's kind of going to be like a TikTok algorithm. And basically what would happen is like you are essentially recommended communities that like the algorithm thinks are cool based on what you've interacted with. And so you can join things like Power Hour and find people who are like-minded and who have some dreams and aspirations that are similar to yours, and kind of network through that. And basically this whole like platform, you're going to basically be using your wallet to get into all these things. So it's like, here's my like Soulmynt wallet that has all these credentials, and like this is me as a person. You can see it, you can verify it within seconds, and you can get to know who I am. And basically, essentially, you know, if you like me, come into the community and you know, kind of learn. And so like that's like the end goal, kind of like building these communities on Web3, and just like finding like people who are passionate about what you're passionate as well.
I love it. Tell me where your entrepreneurial spirit came from.
Honestly, I just like it. Like I didn't realize it until recently, but I just don't like being told what to do. I took like piano classes and like singing classes when I was little. I like playing the piano. I like singing. I don't like going to class and having people tell me what to sing and what to play, you know? And so it was like every week I would come in dreading it. I was like, you know, like I don't want to come. Same thing with school. Same thing with like I'm doing an assignment. I really don't want to do it because these people are telling me what to do. And so like, I don't know. I feel like I've always been like that. And then it kind of like took a little like leap for me to like, you know, like actually believe in myself and actually like try to do something, because you can always have an idea. But like, you know, nothing's going to come of it if you don't actually take action. So it's like, that took a little out of to do, because like I wasn't the most confident person. But I mean, now that I did, like, just try not to look back.
How'd you tap into your confidence?
A lot of reading and meditating. My mom was really big into it. And so she would like, I thought it was really dumb at first. And so she would always like hound me, and she would be like, just try it one time, just try it one time. I would just like brush it off or whatever. But like, eventually I got old enough to a point where I was like, all right, I'll try it. And it actually did really help. So, so like, yeah.
So what are some of your favorite books that you've read, and what type of meditation do you do? I meditate every day. I've been meditating for 25 years. I love it.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. No, I'm not that great at it. I'm trying to get like consistent with it. But books wise, I'm reading The Power of Now right now. It's a great book. I'm almost done with it.
Eckhart Tolle, he's the greatest. Yeah.
So that book is really changing my life. Great book. Rich Dad Poor Dad was really good.
Another great one.
Yeah.
I met him. When I launched my book. Yeah, when I launched my book a few years ago at the New York Expo, he was there, and he spent like a good 20 minutes with me, just him and I kind of chatting. And he was. I was so happy because I love his book, and he just spent a ton of time with me. He was great. He was really great. Yeah.
That's really cool. Yeah. That was the first book I actually like read. You know, like that's when I started getting back into reading. That was the first book that I.
What do you like about the power of? What about the power of now? What's one of your favorite things you're learning from the power of now?
It's just like, it's so crazy how much power like you really have that you don't realize. And it's like one of the messages that they say in the book, it's like you aren't your thoughts. And so it's like, disidentify yourself from your mind and kind of like just like watch your emotions pass by. And so like I've been trying to incorporate that more and more. And it's like I don't think of myself as my thoughts. And so they call it like the silent watcher or something. And
right, the observer. He calls it the observer. Yeah.
And so that's what I've been focusing on a lot. And that's like, that's what I really like about it.
Continue to, you know, Descartes had it wrong. I think, therefore I am. You're not your thoughts. It's like, I love Eckhart Tolle. I've been studying him for many years. And when you can really zoom out and kind of look at your thoughts as an observer, it's a game changer. It's a really have you read The Four Agreements?
No.
So that's a book that you would really like. It's so simple, it's complicated, right? It takes like, you're going to look at it and think, oh, I'll read this in an hour, but you can't, because every time you read a sentence or a paragraph, you got to let it kind of sift through. It's a really powerful book. And what's another book? Any other books?
That so I really want to read Atomic Habits.
It's great. James Clear. It's great. It's great. You know, I'm a big believer that, everybody can set a goal, but goals are powered by routines, and routines are powered by habits. And then so you manage the habit, not the goal. That book is great.
Yeah, it's like, no, yeah. And it's crazy how much like having a clear path like can like no matter how like out of reach you might think your goal is, if you just like be like, okay, this is my goal, and like every day I'm gonna do this and this to get there, like you're just gonna get there one day. Like
yeah, good for you. A series of books you may want to put on your list. A couple. One, Seat of the Soul by Gary Zukav, and then Stephen Pressfield, the art of the War of Art. Excuse me, the Art of War. Excuse me, the War of Art.
The War of Arts.
Yeah, the War of Art. His books Stephen Pressfield's books are great. Yeah, I think you'll love them.
And what was the first one that you said?
Seat of the Soul by Gary Zukav.
Or no, the other. It was like the Four or something.
The Four Agreements. Put that one at the top of your list.
Okay.
Yeah. Aniket, I really appreciate you being on the show. What you're building is great. My parents, I've said this on a couple episodes that I've been interviewing your team, your community. My parents always raised me. I'm 50, that I can learn from people older and younger. And I'm so glad they did, because I have always kind of held that philosophy at a very, very high level. So thank you for what you're doing, the business you're doing. I can't wait to, watch you and everybody else in the community that I'm interviewing through the decades, and all the great things you're going to do. Not to sound like your dad, but keep reading those books. And, those types of books changed my life, because school was always difficult for me. And so, because I learned differently. I was dyslexic and I didn't even know it. And it was hard for me. But from the time I was 18, I started reading and listening to books on tape. And I never went a day when I haven't, to this day. And so I went to college. I double majored in journalism and economics. How I got through it, I have no idea. But it was the tapes and the books that got me prepared for business and life. So it's great talking shop. And if you ever have any great books that you read, reach out to me and I'll do the same to you. But thanks. Tell everybody who your ideal clients are and how they can connect with you.
Ideal clients. So my ideal clients right now: education companies, influencers, and clothing companies. And you can reach out to me. It's just at Aniket Nedunuri on all like Instagram, Twitter. And then if you want to connect with Soulmynt, it's literally just SOULMYNT on all platforms too.
Awesome. Well, this was great. Thank you for everything. Think community, as you know, I'm a business coach. I work with successful people who are stuck and get them unstuck, from solopreneurs to Fortune companies and everything in between. And I love this podcast because I get to interview people like Aniket, and they can help you get unstuck as well. I want to extract one thing, which we just finished talking about, which is the power of reading. Whether you read, whether you listen on Audible, which I do because I can retain it much faster, and get through a book faster. School is great, but reading what you want, reading what resonates with you, what you're drawn to, it's a game changer. So thanks for moving the conversation that way. Continued success. Tell everybody where they can, your website one more time.
Yeah, it's Soulmynt, SOULMYNT.com. Also, on the topic of reading, also journaling is really cool too.
Yeah. I do that every day as well. You know what? And I do a lot of free writing journaling, because to just get the kind of minutia out of my head. Yeah. So
cool.
All right, good, man. You keep doing great things. Great guidance, great advice. The community, if I can help you, JonDwoskin.com. Thanks again. Pleasure.
Thank you for having me, John.